Okay, we're on chapter 46, page 329. The day after this conversation, the Count of Monte Cristo went to his country house in Auteuil with Ali and a few other servants. While he was there, Bertuccio arrived from Normandy with news of the house which the Count had instructed him to buy there. It was now ready, and the corvette, manned by a crew of 6, was anchored in a small cove nearby, ready to put to sea at a moment's notice. The Count praised Bertuccio's zeal and told him to prepare for a prompt departure, since his stay in France would come to an end within a month. Just then, Baptistine opened the door. He was holding a tray on which there was a letter. "What are you doing here?" asked the Count, seeing him all covered with dust. "I didn't ask you to come out here, did I?" Without answering, Baptistine walked up to him and presented the letter to him. "Important and urgent," he said. The Count opened the letter and read the following. "The Count of Monte Cristo is hereby warned that a man will break into his house tonight in order to steal some papers which he believes to be locked in the desk in his dressing room. The Count of Monte Cristo is strong enough not to have resources to the police, which might seriously compromise the person who gives this warning. A large number of people or obvious precautions would cause the thief to postpone his plans and make the Count of Monte Cristo lose an opportunity to discover an enemy whom chance has revealed to the person who gives this warning. A warning which he may not be able to repeat if the thief's first attempt fails, and he later makes another one." The Count's first impulse was to take this letter for a thieves' trick, a crude attempt to warn him of a minor danger while exposing him to a greater one. He was therefore about to have the letter taken to the police despite, or perhaps because of, his anonymous friend's warning, when it suddenly occurred to him that the thief might actually be a personal enemy of his, an enemy whom he alone could recognize, from whom he alone could gain advantage. "They don't want to steal my papers," said the Count to himself. "They want to kill me. I have no desire to have the police occupy themselves with my private affairs. I'm rich enough to relieve their budget of that expense." He called in Baptistine, who had left the room after handing him the letter. "Return to Paris and bring back all my servants," he said. "I need everyone here in Auteuil." Baptistine bowed. "And my orders are quite clear," continued the Count. "You are to bring back every single servant, but I want the house left exactly as it is. Close the shutters on the ground floor. That's all." "And what about the shutters on the second floor?" "You know I never close them. Go." The Count dined with his usual sobriety and calm. Then, motioning to Ali to follow him, he slipped out of a side door. By nightfall, he had arrived at his house on the Avenue des Champs-Élysées. He stood behind a tree and looked carefully up and down the street to see if anyone was hiding in the vicinity. After making sure that no one was lying in wait for him, he ran to a side door with Ali, unlocked it, and went up to his bedroom without drawing a single curtain or giving any other sign that he had returned to the house. When they reached the bedroom, the Count motioned Ali to stop. He then went into his dressing room and examined it carefully. Everything was in its usual place. He removed the catch from the bolt on the door and returned to the bedroom. During his absence, Ali had laid out on a table the weapons the Count had asked for, a short carbine and a pair of double-barreled pistols. Thus armed, Monte Cristo could account for the lives of 5 men. It was 9:30. The Count and Ali hastily ate a piece of bread and drank a glass of Spanish wine. Then Monte Cristo pushed back one of the sliding panels, which enabled him to see from one room into another. His pistols and his carbine were within reach of his hand, and Ali stood beside him, holding one of those small Arabian axes whose form had not changed since the Crusades. The Count could see down into the street through one of the windows of the bedroom. 2 hours passed. It was a dark night, yet Ali, thanks to his savage nature, and Monte Cristo, thanks to his acquired ability, were able to distinguish even the slightest movements of the trees in the courtyard. The Count was convinced that the attackers would seek his life, not his money. They would therefore enter his bedroom, either by way of the private staircase or through the window of his dressing room. He posted Ali before the door of the staircase and continued to watch his dressing room. The clock of Les Invalides struck 11:15. As the sound of the last stroke was dying away, the Count heard a faint noise coming from his dressing room. This first grating sound was followed by a second, then a third. At the fourth, the Count knew what to expect. A practiced hand was occupied in cutting the four sides of a pane of glass with a diamond. Monte Cristo felt his heart beat more rapidly. No matter how hardened to danger a man may be, he always realizes, from the pounding of his heart and the shivering of his flesh, the enormous difference between a dream and reality, between a plan and its execution. The Count motioned to Ali, who, seeing that the danger was coming from the direction of his master, stepped over to him. The Count was eager to learn who his enemies were and how many there were of them. The window whose glass was being cut was directly opposite the opening through which he was looking into the dressing room. He fixed his eyes on that window and saw a shadow on the other side of it. Then one of the panes became opaque, as though a sheet of paper had been glued on it. A short time later it cracked, and without falling, an arm passed through the opening and unlocked the window. A man entered. He was alone. Just then the Count felt Ali gently touching his shoulder. He turned around. Ali pointed to the window of the bedroom, which overlooked the street. The Count was aware of the keenness of Ali's senses. He walked over to the window and saw a man step out from a doorway and climb up on a hitching post as though he were trying to see what was happening in the Count's house. I see, thought Monte Cristo. One man acts and the other keeps watch. He motioned Ali to keep an eye on the man in the street and went back to watching the man in his dressing room. The latter had entered and was groping around in order to orient himself. He found that there were two doors leading into the room and bolted them both. Unaware that the Count had removed the latch of the bolt on the door leading into the bedroom, he now believed himself free to act without fear of interruption. The Count soon heard the jingling of one of those bunches of shapeless keys, such as a locksmith brings when they are called in to unlock a door, and to which thieves have given the name of nightingales, no doubt because of the pleasure they take in hearing their nocturnal song when they grate against the bolt of a lock. Aha, thought Monte Cristo with a smile of disappointment. He's nothing but a thief. Being unable to find the proper thief in the darkness, or the proper key in the darkness, the thief picked up an object which he had set down on a table on entering, touched a spring, and immediately a dim light illuminated his hands and face. What? Exclaimed Monte Cristo faintly, stepping back in surprise. Why, it's... Ali raised his axe. Don't move, whispered Monte Cristo, and put down your axe. We don't need any weapons. Then he added a few more words in a still lower voice, for his faint exclamation had startled the man in the dressing room. It was apparently an order he gave, for Ali tiptoed away and returned with a black garment and a triangular hat. Meanwhile, the Count had taken off his coat, his vest, and his shirt, revealing one of those tunics of steel mail, the last of which was worn in France, where the danger is no longer feared by King Louis XVI, who feared the dagger and perished by the axe. This tunic soon disappeared beneath a long cassock, just as the Count's hair disappeared beneath a tonsured wig. A triangular hat placed over the wig finished the transformation of the Count into a priest. In the meantime, the thief, hearing no further sounds, had resumed work on the lock of the writing desk with his nightingale. Good, said the Count, who apparently counted on some secret of the locksmith's art, which was unknown to even the cleverest thief. "You'll be busy for quite a while." He walked over to the window. The man he had seen climb up on the hitching post had now climbed down from it and was pacing up and down the street. But strangely enough, instead of being concerned with watching to see if anyone was coming, he appeared to be preoccupied only by what was taking place in the Count's house. The purpose of all his movements was to see into the dressing room. Monte Cristo suddenly struck his forehead and let a silent laugh play over his lips. Then he came back to Ali and said, "Stay here, hidden in the darkness, and no matter what you hear, no matter what happens, don't come out unless I call you by name." Ali motioned that he had understood and would obey.